Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to another astrology video. This week, I'm going to be talking about the total lunar eclipse in Virgo, which provides a very dramatic mid-month moment to a month of the year that already has provided its fair share of changes, drama, and the like. The month of March, it's just so next level in terms of what's on offer. It's very hard to encapsulate what we're moving through right now in a succinct and articulate way because it's just that messy. It feels very one step forward, two steps back, the astrology of the moment. But there is a method in the madness, so do hang in there. And I think this eclipse coming through this week is definitely going to be one of those moments of discernment and clarity after what's been a lot of confusion. But before I get there, though, firstly, I just want to make mention that I didn't upload a video last week. I think we had a very Neptune conjunct the North Node moment in my part of the planet where we had a tropical cyclone move through. So I was without power for almost 3 days. Schools were closed, so my whole schedule was put into disarray. Very pre-eclipsy energy there in my fourth house. I hope everyone's okay if you're sort of in Brisbane and Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, and northern New South Wales. We certainly got our North Node conjoined Neptune at the last degree of Pisces moment. Also, too, by the time this video comes out, the Contemporary Astrology Program for Year 1 Beginners Astrology will have already begun. I'm going to be keeping enrollment open through until the end of March. In case you've been sitting on the fence, do I really want to take an astrology course? Who should I take it with? There's so many people out there. If you do have questions about me, about the program, do feel free to contact me via my website. There will be a link below for more course information. I don't subscribe to any particular genre of astrology. I've tried them all, and what I do try to do with this program is to give you a broad range of technique and philosophy about how to approach astrology that works. I think that is a symptom of having Jupiter in Gemini conjoined my ascendant. I've tried all the things and I've tried to distill it down into a methodology that works. So I like to have every student find their way through the astrological paradigm as opposed to flying a flag that suits me. So if you do want to join, please feel free. We go through the first semester is the basic chart stuff, the foundations of the chart. The second semester does actually contain some, I guess, more advanced techniques that are still very, what's the word I'm looking for? Important in natal chart reading that some people would probably not teach so early on. We go through, lunar phases, synodic cycles, fixed stars, essential dignities, and things of that nature. And then, of course, year 2 is for the year 1 students, and that's all the timing and predictive work. So the link again is in the description box below if you would like to join us, and I'd love to have you as a part of the Contemporary Astrology Program. All right, let's look at this eclipse. As I said, the month of March is so it's really one step forward, two steps back. We've got just so much. We're moving ahead, we're moving backwards, we're moving ahead, then we're moving backwards. And not only is it that, it's also across the 29th degree of Pisces and the first degree of Aries. Even our eclipses are Pisces, Virgo, and then the solar eclipse in Aries, which is sort of winding up one cycle, starting another one. It's just so having a foot in both camps. And so this eclipse there'll be many interpretations out there, but one way that I'm trying to look at it, it's going to shine a big bright spotlight, the silver circle, on an area that needs clarification, discernment, and letting go. Okay, so let's have a little look at the chart so we can see the astrology as we're talking about it. So I've got this one set for my time zone, which is fondly known as Brisbane, in Queensland, Australia. So ignore the houses. What we're essentially looking at, whoops, I'm not looking at that one. I've got to go back a little bit. So excuse me for that. I was looking around at all of the astrology there and looking at that next eclipse. But this one is at 23 degrees, so close to 24 degrees of Virgo. So if you've got planets or points at that sort of mid 20s of Virgo or any of the other mutable signs being Pisces, Gemini or Sagittarius, you're going to feel this energy. Now, for the most part, I would be focusing on the Pisces, Virgo axis. Of course, the Geminis and Sagittarius are not unscathed, but when it comes to eclipses, what we're predominantly looking at to bring practicality to it is, okay, what houses are they located in? And that's going to show you where the action is. So for me, as an example, my IC is implicated in this eclipse. And so I expect any moment to receive an email to inform me that the lease on the property that I've been living in for many years now will not be renewed. I know that for a fact because the owner's my best friend. So I know what's going on, but that's the reality, and I know that it's happening. But what's even more curious about this particular eclipse cycle is that I acquired the property when the eclipses were in the same signs but in opposition. So the North Node and Jupiter were moving through Virgo at that time. So this really does show you how, even though the eclipses in the South Node Virgo, North Node Pisces are a once every 19-year-ish cycle, we do get the oppositions, the reversals, and they can also bring punctuation points to the topics where those houses are located. So you might want to think back to sort of 2016, 17-ish, what was going on in your Virgo Pisces houses, and that might give you a little bit of an indication as to what you might expect out of this next Pisces Virgo installment. So again, the North Node and Jupiter were in Virgo last time, and I acquired this property, and now it is the South Node moving through Virgo, and I will be saying goodbye to it. So it was a big chapter of my life, and I'm ready, but I'm also going to be a little bit sad about it. So let's have a look at this chart. We've got the full moon is happening at 23 Virgo, and the South Node is 27. So that is a total eclipse. So we are going to see the reddening of the moon. And the energy of Virgo is purifying, it's cleansing, it's a very discerning type of energy. We often talk about Virgo as separating the wheat from the chaff. I think about it when I make bread every week, when I'm sifting the flour through. Not only is that to make it more aerated and soft, but it's also to rid the flour of any impurities that could be in it. So it's a very kind of sifting type of energy, the energy of Virgo. It's dry and it's earth. So it does have the qualities of separation. It also has those qualities of practicality. So it does have the ability to be grounded, but separating yourself so you can really analyze and process things. So you can see things perhaps for what they are as opposed to how you might want them to be. Yes, Virgo likes to improve and likes to fix, and that's where some of its idealism, the opposite of Pisces, can come through. But at its core, it is like a distiller, it is a purifier. And that is, that less is more is what gives it that hope for something better. It's more about separating or purifying than it is adding something to that mix and making it kind of, messy or muddying the waters of Pisces. Virgo can be very devotional as well. It's very service orientated, but one of my favorite qualities of Virgo is precision. If you've ever come across people in your life or read charts for someone who is Scorpio rising with Mars in Virgo, it's one of my favorite combinations because it will show up so obviously. There's something that's very particular, very detailed oriented, and really in the minutia of something. There's something that they can do. Like if I had to have brain surgery, I would want it to be Scorpio rising with Mars in Virgo. They're going to hit the right spots, they're not going to make errors. So that's that precision quality of Virgo. And that's opposed to the kind of messier and more transcendental nature of Pisces, where it doesn't discriminate at all. In fact, it's totally the opposite. It is, it almost doesn't have any walls at all. It is very much about dissolving any barriers that Virgo might try and purify or erect. It's very transcendental, it's very spiritual, it's very emotive and feeling, but it's the changeable nature of water when we're dealing with Pisces, that mutable water. And so that mutable water of trying to feel all the things and feel all the feelings, there can be overwhelm, too much water, like we experienced here in Brisbane recently. And now, when we get those patches of sunshine, we can really start to feel that dry earth slowly coming back. So when we look at the eclipse, we really want to be focused on the moon because it is a lunar eclipse and it's attached to the south node. So we do have a bit of a double energy here, a double cleansing, purgative quality. Virgo already has those features, and to many traditions, so does the south node. There's that sense of not wanting to be of the material world, which is a little bit of a contradiction because Virgo is earth. But it's if I can just be so perfect, if I can just get things just right, if I can get things with that level of precision and accuracy, then everything's going to be how I want it. Now, that's the sort of juxtaposition of these two energies, is that there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. And that sort of throws it to the other side of the coin where we have that energy of Pisces. So this eclipse is trying to cleanse something. It's trying to purify an area of life that might have become muddied, that might have become overwhelming, or possibly in some scenarios where you've been hoodwinked a little bit. The boundaries are not strong with Pisces, and yes, Saturn's been a part of that cycle, but even in of itself, Saturn in Pisces is not very Saturnian at all. There's plenty of collective examples where we can look to see how that works. Now, this full moon, if we think about it, the energy of the solar principle, the sun, that sort of yang masculine force, and that receptive container of the moon, the yin and yang, male and female, that polarity, the perfect partners in the sky are in a complete opposition to each other and also in alignment with the earth, which what happens when we have an eclipse. So there might be an area of life where you have to step back or step away or separate yourself from something or someone in order to get the clarity that Virgo's trying to bring through. So, you've been too giving to someone or something in a particular situation. And that's Pisces, to forgive is to give something over, whereas to forget, it's more about getting something. So there's a bit of a play on words there. But the energy of Virgo is, the moon is full. So she's holding her own power right now. And she's asking us to realize, okay, what do I need to forgive so I can forget and move on? Or what do I need to let go of so I can actually attain that the transcendence, or attain that higher spiritual purpose, or attain something that I'm trying to get with that Moon Virgo South Node combination. Because usually what happens in from a spiritual perspective, it's breaking of something or letting go of something. That's where we really get. So, say for example, you might lose a relationship in your life and you think, oh my God, my life's over. I'll never find anyone as good as them again, blah, blah, blah. But we always do. Okay. Or it might be a job, or it might be a living situation, or what have you. Sometimes when things feel like they're broken or at a loss, it's usually the sort of breakdown before the breakthrough. And the idea of clarity after a period of confusion, it's also a little bit this Jupiter whole sign square factor there as well. It has been a messy transit for the most part, and many people have found it to be quite overwhelming. So much data, details, and distractions. This eclipse can help us take that step back from all of those things and really discern and refine what the meaning and purpose is. This is what I actually do really like about the South Node, which we don't find too much spoken in Western astrology, is this idea that once there's that loss, you can really attain perfection, which is what Virgo is trying to get right. When you have that a minimalist or a minimization of something, when you can reduce down or take something down, you can really see it from the essence of what it is. So, as an example, not having electricity for almost three, it was about 3 nights, 2 days, or something like that. It was wonderful. I mean, obviously, it had some frustrations because, we're used to all our mod cons, and I had to make some improvisations, and it's amazing what you can cook on a barbecue. But you know, it happened. But you know what I really liked about it was once those distractions were eliminated, we got to the essence of what was really important. I connected with my son at a deeper level. We had more conversation. We just had more quality time. And this is also very Virgoan. It would prefer quality over quantity. So if you've been overdoing the quantity with Jupiter in Gemini, that kind of just says, yeah, all the things, this eclipse, there might be a loss of some description, but it will really refine the process and help you get back to quality. Now, the ruler of this eclipse is Mercury. And it's not helping the situation very much at all. Okay, it's stationed. It's about to turn retrograde, so it's moving backwards. Um, it is in aversion to the eclipse itself, so it makes no aspect to it. So the Mercury in Aries is really not giving anything to the eclipse itself. That being said, though, it's 9 degrees of Aries where the next solar eclipse comes through. So there is something about this eclipse that is the necessary refining process that can really be the breakthrough and the closing down of the last nodal cycle that began in July of 2023, and set the template for what Neptune's going to bring and what Saturn will bring once it arrives. I think it's in May. So again, when you kind of sit with the energy, the stillness of a Virgo moon conjoined the South Node, we really do get a bit of a vibe for what this eclipse is kind of setting up for us. So there may be some thoughts or discussions that are of a relationship nature because the ruler Mercury is with Venus. They've already conjoined, and they will be retrograding together. So there may be sort of a do-over of something, a new conversation. Maybe someone returns to the past, or someone from the past provides you a message, or they call you or send you a text or something like like that. But for the most part, I just don't really feel that Mercury's doing much for this eclipse per se, but it is setting up the territory for 2 weeks' time when we have the solar eclipse in Aries, the last one. So, for the most part, this eclipse does feel like a bit of a reality check. We've had a lot of energy coming through Pisces. Of course, Venus will go back there, Mercury's going to go back there, Neptune will leave and come back, Saturn will leave and come back. So there's a lot of energy with Pisces, and every now and then we have to step away from the energy of Pisces. We need to dry out, we need to discern. This eclipse does have the propensity to feel a little bit like astro rehab in a way. Everything's great when the wine is flowing, but, the hangover, the drying out helps you to see a situation with more clarity. Once you remove the moisture and you have the dryness and the separation, you'll be able to perhaps erect boundaries that you couldn't before. Now, boundaries isn't about building the wall, which is what a lot of people hear, but it's more about being discerning of standards. It's more about discernment of quality, of what you will tolerate in whatever house in particular the Virgo Pisces axis activates for you. So you might find that this eclipse this week, something may be removed from your life, cleansed. And that isn't to say that it's a loss, it's a leveling up. And that's universal law. So for some people, like myself, it could be the housing environment. Obviously, that won't happen for a few months' time yet, but I would imagine that news will come through. For some people, it might be a relationship scenario, particularly with the ruler conjoined Venus. You might have a recognition of what you've been putting up with or tolerating in relationships that isn't just going to work for you anymore moving forward. So you might have to have discussions again about something you thought you'd already cleared up or clarified. So there could be drawing that proverbial line in the sand, this needs to improve or I'm out. It's not an ultimatum, that's your boundary. You're prepared to lose something when you uh, set your standard, right? So that might be something that comes to a head or becomes illuminated under the eclipse, because remember, the full moon will shine light on a situation. For some people, it might be a job situation, a career path. It might have something to do with money or with finances. It's really just going to depend on where Virgo is specifically in your birth chart and what whole sign house that holds for you. And more importantly, if you have a planet or an angle very close to that 23, 24 degree of Virgo. So it's going to be a very big eclipse. I think it's going to have a little bit more punch to it than the solar eclipse will. Lunar eclipses do bring emotions. They do bring a little bit of felt, we feel them more because it's more of a lunar eclipse. So it would be important to be gentle with yourself, with your body as we move into the eclipse cycle. Usually when there's a South Node eclipse energy, less food, less stimulation, a sense of gentleness. Maybe you want to double down on prayer or meditation, connecting to the other side, as opposed to setting goals and trying to achieve the next thing. It's more about stillness and feeling your way through the eclipse energies. So I'd love to hear how it may be showing up for you already, what you could perhaps look at your chart and see what's coming up for you. And if you can see a correlation between this eclipse cycle and the one that we had last time in 2016, and a little bit of 2017. So that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're not a subscriber to the channel already, do please hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, and it's free to do so. So until next time, I hope you have a really gentle eclipse week.